Okay, let's unpack this. Usually when we think about being exhausted, there's like a clear physical reason for it.
Right, yeah, like you ran a 5K or something.
Exactly. Or you helped a friend move a heavy couch up, 3 flights of stairs. The effort is totally muscular.
Yeah, you feel it in your body.
But then you have a 20-minute coffee with certain people and you walk away feeling like you just ran a marathon in wet concrete.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Right. Your muscles are totally fine, but you are completely depleted. So our mission for this deep dive is to look at the documents we have to uncover the actual science behind emotional vampirism. Why interacting with specific individuals leaves you entirely drained.
Because it's not just, a subjective bad vibe.
No, not at all. It's a measurable biological response.
It really is. And we have to look at the mechanics of how that exhaustion actually enters your body. There's this really well-documented phenomenon called emotional contagion.
Emotional contagion. Okay, so
basically, humans naturally catch the emotions of others. We subconsciously mimic and synchronize our facial expressions, our posture, and even our vocal pacing with whoever we're talking to.
I mean, it's kind of like catching a yawn from across the room.
Oh, yeah, that's a perfect way to look at it.
You see someone yawn, and suddenly you just can't help but do it too.
Yeah.
Except here, instead of sleepiness, your nervous system is involuntarily catching their stress.
Exactly. When you spend time with someone who is chronically anxious or, cynical or pessimistic, your nervous system begins to actually mirror their state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's known as limbic resonance. Your brain thinks the threat is real, which forces your adrenal glands to just pump out high levels of cortisol, the stress hormone.
Just to match their vibe.
Right, just to sync up with them.
So it's essentially an involuntary biological hijack. Your brain is just flooded with their stress hormones.
It is.
But it's not just a passive mirroring, is it? Because we are actively trying to manage these people while it's happening.
Right, and that leads to intense mental fatigue. The psychologists who study energy vampires, like Dr. Judith Orloff, they look at distinct archetypes. Take the victim, for example.
Oh, the constant poor me stories.
Exactly. They constantly share those stories but ignore literally any advice you offer. Or you have the narcissist, who requires constant validation and just completely lacks empathy.
Which is exhausting.
Totally. Interacting with these personalities demands heavy emotional labor. You are constantly filtering your words, managing their volatile reactions, and while suppressing your own needs just to keep the peace.
And all that suppression has to have a physical cost in the brain, right?
It does. That heavy lifting falls directly on your prefrontal cortex. That's the brain's executive control center.
Okay.
You're literally burning through its energy reserves to keep your own reactions in check, which is exactly why you get that brain fog afterward.
Wait, aren't we supposed to be supportive friends? I mean, at what point does normal listening cross the line into this draining cognitive load?
Well, the tipping point from friendship to just a total soul drain comes down to an evolutionary concept called social exchange theory.
Social exchange theory.
Yeah. Basically, human brains are wired to keep a ledger of give and take. It's designed to maximize benefits and minimize costs for survival.
Right.
So when an interaction is purely one-sided, where you provide empathy and attention but receive absolutely nothing in return, your brain registers a social deficit.
So what does this all mean? The ledger is just deeply in the red.
Deeply. And what's incredible here is that this lack of reciprocity triggers a stress response that your brain processes using the exact same neural pathways as actual physical pain.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it literally hurts.
That emotional deficit isn't just annoying, it hurts. Your brain is reacting to this one-sided friendship the same way it reacts to a physical injury.
Exactly.
So if our brain treats this like an injury, how do we stop the bleeding? I mean, walking away and setting a hard boundary is the obvious move, but you can't always just walk out of a meeting or leave a family dinner.
True. When you can't physically leave, you have to break that limbic resonance we talked about earlier. You can do that through a technique called active grounding.
Active grounding. How does that work?
Instead of getting swept up in their emotional storm, you consciously focus your attention on your physical surroundings, like the feeling of your feet on the floor or the texture of your chair.
Okay, so it actively stops your nervous system from mirroring their distress.
Right. You're breaking the synchronization. And if that doesn't work, there is the gray rock method.
Oh, I love this concept. It's basically emotional camouflage.
It really is a highly effective survival strategy. You consciously make your responses as dull, unreactive, and uninteresting as a literal gray rock.
So by not feeding them the emotional reaction they're looking for, you stop draining your prefrontal cortex.
Exactly. You become so boring that the energy seeker simply gets bored and moves on to find another target.
Wow. So just to summarize for everyone listening, emotional vampirism isn't just a bad mood. It is a biological marathon.
Yes.
It's an involuntary spike in cortisol, a depleted prefrontal cortex, and a social deficit that the brain actually registers as physical pain.
It leaves us with a pretty heavy implication, though, based on the source material.
Oh, definitely.
Because if we know that emotions are incredibly contagious through mimicry and the biological transfer of stress is automatic,
Yeah.
it really makes you think about the downstream effects.
Right. If you are constantly absorbing a vampire's stress and walking away totally depleted, are you inadvertently becoming an energy vampire to the very next person you talk to?